Welcome to Worthy of Work, the podcast created for all of us who secretly question what is normal in a relationship. My name is Stephanie Rivard, and here we cover the healthy relationship skills no one taught us. If you've ever lived with a toxic person, someone who's manipulative, addicted, unpredictable, or just straight up draining, you probably know this cycle. They do something destructive, you react, they blame you, and eventually you find yourself apologizing for the dysfunction. Or maybe you're just at the stage where you repeatedly say in frustration, "Man, he doesn't get it. He hasn't changed. Why does this keep happening? Why am I here again?" The tool, the incredible insight that we're going to dive into in today's episode can change that. It did for me. You know the saying, like a bull in a china shop? Well, when we live with someone who's toxic, we often end up blaming the bull for the damage in our china shop, in our home, in our lives, in our heart. They broke my peace, my joy, my safety, my trust. And sure, they did. Bulls do what bulls do. And the truth is, the hard truth is that we let the bull in. We open the door. We let a bull enter our china shop, and we hoped it would behave differently this time. Maybe we hoped the bull would behave like a poodle. And that is the part of self-responsibility that we need to own and acknowledge, I let him in. And this is the powerful solution, this pivot that can change so much, is to acknowledge the self-responsibility, which is not self-blame. It's just owning and realizing, look, if I want someone to tread lightly here, if I need extra care in this area, then don't let the bull in. If I don't want destruction in my life, then I can stop inviting it in. I'm the one with the key. And that's where we shift from helpless to hopeful, from acknowledging, look, I can't control them, but I can control what I allow. When I first started practicing this level of self-responsibility, I noticed a flaw in my old operating system. One was that I was previously trying to control their chaos instead of controlling my choices. The second thing I noticed that was flawed in my approach was I had confused compassion for permission. And it kind of went something like, they had a hard life, there's all these circumstances, am I really going to be the one to shut them out and not bail them out or support them or help them navigate the situation? And I was confusing, again, compassion for permission. And this level of insanity, truly believing that this bull would behave differently this time, would come into this china shop and behave like a poodle. And that was my flawed thinking. So if I didn't want destruction in my life, A, I can stop letting the bull in, and B, stop hoping the bull would just behave differently, and instead start guarding the door. And what does that look like? So here's a couple boundaries. Here are some examples. Maybe you are dealing with a situation where someone is frequently yelling, manipulative, harsh, and critical. Well, instead of hoping or lecturing them into a different behavior, and I bet you have a record of that not working. So instead of doing that, a boundary would be, I don't participate in conversations that are aggressive. If I find myself in such a conversation, I just leave it. I leave the conversation. The key here is not to control them. It's to decide, what are you going to do when the bull starts to charge, instead of standing there and start negotiating that the bull would slow down or magically turn into the poodle, instead of that, you can just step out of the way, close the gate, step behind a fence. You can control your choices. The second possible boundary here is maybe you're dealing with someone who is forever draining and coming to you with their problems, that they have a problem, and now it's apparently your job to find the solution. A boundary here could be, I don't solve other adults' problems. And it could sound like, oh, I'm not able to get involved in that, but I'm sure you're going to be able to find a solution. Or I'm curious how you're going to solve that. But stepping out of the chaos and step out of the ring in the sense of the bull, step out of the ring. And at first, this boundary is probably going to feel selfish. In fact, you might even be told that you're unloving, because if you really love them, you might get back in the ring. It'll feel unloving and uncomfortable. And it's okay. And in time, you will start experiencing peace. True peace, your peace, by guarding the door, by choosing what comes in to your space, into your life, and how will you take care of what you're responsible for. Self-responsibility and owning my part doesn't mean that I have caused the chaos. Maybe I did contribute to some of that, but it really means that I stop participating in the insanity, that I don't just stand there as if I have no involvement and let chaos continue around me. Why do I remain in chaos? That question is self-responsibility. When you realize that, the solution to your problems are no longer in someone else's hands. In fact, you stop waiting for them to get it, and you start taking responsibility for your healing, not for their behavior. And that's where the real change happens. That's where you start finding choices and freedom, because we stop blaming the bull for being a bull and start guarding the door, and we find peace. So if life feels like a bull in your china shop, healing says stop trying to control the bull and start guarding the door. Here's a few reflection questions. Where in your life are you still hoping the bull will behave differently? Are you still hoping the bull will show up like a poodle? And what would it look like for you to quietly, peacefully close that door? If today's episode helped you, can I ask that you share it on your social media platforms? My desire is to share the tools that helped me move from a dysfunctional relationship into the knowledge and the skills to build something healthy and beautiful and good. And I believe these tools are teachable. Will you help me get that out? Thank you. That's it for today's episode. If this resonates with you, please subscribe, share, or leave a review. It helps more people find this work. And remember, I'm not a therapist. I'm just someone who once thought dysfunction was pretty normal. I wanted better and learned new tools. And so can you.